Nevada is going to have a new attorney general next month, and we're talking with the Republican candidate seeking your vote. Welcome to Nevada Politics Today. I'm your host, Victor Jakes. Wes Duncan previously served as Nevada's first assistant attorney general, and he's also a lawyer in the Air Force Reserves. Wes, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
I want to jump right in. The theme of your campaign has kind of been a safer Nevada. You say on your website that you want to make Nevada the safest place in the nation. You know, you worked for the Attorney General for almost 4 years. Why aren't we already the safest place in the nation?
Yeah, I had the opportunity to work for 2.5 years with the AG's office. And look, I think as our times change in different communities and different things, looking at the challenges we face as a community, you learn new things as you're going. And so we're looking at mental health and looking at ways to help out with law enforcement. As we've traveled the state in the campaign, law enforcement has told me unanimously that things like mental health, domestic violence, substance abuse, opioid abuse are the things that we should be focused on from a law enforcement perspective.
And what do we do with mental illness, and how much is it going to cost to help alleviate the problem?
Well, so I think there's a few key things that we can do that would really move the ball down the field in helping both law enforcement and showing compassionate leadership to the people that are affected by mental illness. The first is having psychiatric ERs. We only have one psychiatric ER in the entire state, and it's in Carson City. And so we need a place that when law enforcement has an interaction with someone who's mentally ill, instead of taking them to the regular ER or to the jail, they take them to the psychiatric ER that allows them to get the kind of help and care that they need. That takes the burden off of law enforcement so that they're not having to deal with mental illness, and it gets them better treatment. People who are suffering from mental illness, better treatment. And it's also a place that families could take family members to go before
so they would be housed there, and not just you go to the ER, you get treated, you get released.
Sure.
Is that what a psychiatric ER is, or is it?
So psychiatric ER will be in place for as long as the person can get stabilized. So you'll have them there if you can get them stabilized and back on medication, or get them the type of treatment that they need. Then they can be released. If they need an inpatient system, they'll be put into an inpatient care system where they can get more diagnostics and different things to help them.
And how much would something like that cost?
Well, it just depends. We're waiting to get the numbers back from the Mallory Center up in Carson. I think the AG's office can use settlement funds, and then also partner with for-profit, non-profit businesses. You can do public-private partnerships. You can partner with different healthcare partners throughout the state. And so I think it's going to be an all-of-the-above approach, but we do need psychiatric ERs in our state. It's really important.
I want to talk about something else you think we need, and this involves more violent crime. Let's go to graphic 1 and read a little bit from your Safer Nevada plan. I believe we need to toughen sentencing standards for violent criminals, home invaders, domestic and elder abusers. These are brutal, premeditated crimes that tear at the fabric of our communities. When it comes to committing such crimes in Nevada, every criminal should know one thing: hard criminals will serve hard time, period. What is an example of one sentencing standard that needs to change?
So, for example, you can commit a home invasion in Nevada and get probation. I think if you invade the privacy of someone's home and you're going to enter the most sacred place, you should be doing jail time. There's another way that over the years the legislature has eroded what's called the deadly weapon enhancement. It used to be that if you committed a violent felony, a robbery, for example, with a firearm, and the judge gave you an 8 to 20 year sentence, you would get a consecutive and equal sentence for using a firearm. The legislature totally eroded that down to a 1 to 20, and it can run concurrent sometimes. And so I think we need to look at, if you're going to commit violent crimes with deadly weapons, we need to send a message that we're gonna go after you hard for those things.
On the other end of the spectrum, the left has been talking about the need to end cash bail for more minor offenses or misdemeanors. What are your thoughts on that? Should we get rid of cash bail for things that aren't felonies?
Well, look, I think you should always take a look, and it's fine to have a discussion about what is fair to folks in the bail realm. One thing you always have to be aware of, though, is that as a former prosecutor, you don't want to take the discretion out of the hands of prosecutors. Sometimes they know things about a person's violent history that can't be reflected on just a computer printout. They may be a target of a gang investigation. They may need to try to hold someone to, and there's different things that come into play. So completely eliminating the discretion of our prosecutors, who are every single day assessing violent crime, they're prosecuting it. I don't like that aspect of it. I'm happy to have the conversation about what is fair in certain circumstances, but totally eliminating discretion from prosecutors, I think, is not the right call.
Well, this is a political campaign, and I want to go to clip one. This is an ad that your Democrat opponent, Aaron Ford, is airing about you.
Accused of sexual assault, raping a 15-year-old girl, and soliciting child pornography. But he's no ordinary suspect. He's the sheriff of Story County, Nevada. Deputy Attorney General Wes Duncan decided to track down the sheriff, not to arrest him, but to ask for his political endorsement. Duncan bragged he was proud to be endorsed by an alleged sexual predator.
I know you've seen that ad. Why did you ask for his endorsement?
Well, we worked to get the endorsements broadly of law enforcement across the state, and so we have all 16 sheriffs right now who've endorsed us, including Sheriff Lombardo here in Las Vegas, and so we sought endorsements from district attorneys, chiefs of police, and from all sheriffs. And so certainly as I became aware of the things that his past and what he was accused of and those things, we said that we're no longer going to have his endorsement, that we're not going to campaign with him, and that our campaign would not affiliate with them at all. And the backdrop of that was a criminal investigation that was going on at the Attorney General's office that, as the next AG, I might have to take over if that investigation was still going on. So we distanced ourselves once we found out about this. I read the deposition in the civil trial. Some of the stuff I saw on there, I think, was not becoming of a top law enforcement officer of a county, and so we made the choice not to have him in any way endorse the campaign.
Well, I want to go to another ad. This one is supportive of you attacking your opponent. It's not your ad, it's from the Republican Attorney General's Association. Here's clip 2.
Aaron Ford wants to be Nevada's Attorney General, top cop, but we're not sure if he knows what the job entails. Listen.
And not being a criminal lawyer, I can't speak to what larceny even means, frankly. I just can't.
Larceny means stealing, theft. It means theft, which Aaron Ford did. It's here in the police report. Aaron Ford was arrested for theft. Larceny.
Should voters be concerned that Aaron Ford was arrested when he was a college student?
Well, certainly. I mean, any political election is a job interview, right? My entire background should be at the forefront for voters to decide whether I have the qualifications. Senator Ford's, anybody who's up and down the ticket. And so the one important part of this race, though, is that you are trying to be the state's top law enforcement officer position. And so not only do we have an arrest history from the past, but not even 3 years ago, we have Senator Ford, who's not paying his taxes. He had $185,000 in IRS tax liens. So certainly those things should come to light, and I think the voters get to determine how much credibility they want to give to all of those things. I think it's important to note, though, that most law enforcement agencies, based on an arrest record and based on financial mismanagement, likely wouldn't even hire Senator Ford on as a line officer, and he's trying to be the state's top law enforcement officer. So it's certainly relevant to this, and like I said, my background and my experience is relevant as well.
Over the weekend, news broke that Attorney General Adam Laxalt was arrested as a teenager for assaulting a police officer. Is that relevant for voters to consider when they think about the current Attorney General who's running for governor?
Certainly. Like I said, any person that's running for political office, their background, their experience, their vision for the state. It's all open. And so voters will take into account whether they think that hurts his ability to be the next governor. And they should take it into account. They should take into account for every person that's running.
Do you think it hurts his ability to be the next governor?
Look, I'm going to leave that to the voters. The voters get to decide those things. I worked side by side with Adam on some unbelievable initiatives, and he helped keep the state safe. And so, again, voters will make their own determination.
But you endorsed him. Black Salt?
He endorsed me. We're
you
working
endorsed
together.
him?
Well, yeah, he didn't seek my endorsement though, because he's.
He doesn't.
I'm running for AG.
But you do support him.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Thank you for watching. Remember, if it involves Nevada politics, we're talking about it right here on Nevada Politics Today. I'll see you next week.